Hey kids, what's happening? I've been working on V's car, and I probably got about 6 hours into detailing this engine area, cleaning it all up. Just a little hobby that's been keeping me busy in this sour weather, thunderstorms and rain all day today. So I do have some riding planned for the rest of the week though, but today was kind of a wash. So yesterday and today, been working on this. I got some stuff over here I've been using. Right, I got like Dawn dish soap in the squirt bottle, and I spray it on. And then, let's see, I got this little paintbrush. So after I spray it on, I take the paintbrush and I scrub in the soap water, and it gets all the dirt out of all the little cracks and everything, you know. Stuff that you normally couldn't get, like with a towel. And then I take these microfiber rags, and after I get it all washed and scrubbed, I just wipe it all down with the microfiber, and it looks nice and clean. The other thing I've got here is this Meguiar's Ultimate Black, and I use that on all the plastic, the battery, the cover there, all the hoses. You can use this on the wiring harnesses and stuff. You just don't want to use this on paint, so it's good for anything else. And then aside from that, this manifold cover was all rusty, so I used my Dremel with a wire brush and cleaned all the rust off of that, and then I spray painted it with a high heat silver paint. I've gone around and painted up some of the bolt heads and stuff that were rusty. So yeah, kind of a fun job, but you know, I've been able to really make this engine pop now and look really nice. Cleaned all up under the hood too, and got that all done. So I might continue to do stuff to this. What inspired this? Well, the mice were getting up inside the air cleaner. They were going in here, going all the way through here, and going into the air cleaner. And when you pulled the air cleaner out, it was one big mass of rat nest. And the mice were in there too. And I don't know if I told you or not, but one of the mice ran up inside the intake, and I couldn't get it out. And you know, the intake goes all the way down here to the carburetor. So I wasn't sure exactly where it was down in there, but it wouldn't come out. So I ended up spraying some carb cleaner in there while the engine was running. And boy, that mouse came tearing out of there. So I got all the mice out. And then what I did was I put this hardware cloth wire in there where the intake is, so that the mice can no longer get in there. It's just like a cage that keeps them from crawling in there, and the airflow can still get in there. But the whole underside of the engine was full of mouse pee and mouse footprints and mouse poop everywhere. So I got the shop vac out and cleaned all that up, and then I decided to just keep going with it, and you know, got the whole thing looking really nice. So the outside of the car is in pretty good shape. I'll put the ceramic coat on everything, wash the windows. The interior is in really good shape, so I don't need to do anything in there either. I got a fan going here, keeping it cool, blowing some cool air in here for me while I work. But anyway, it's keeping me busy. But back to the bike thing again. I've had a lot of people offer, you know, that they want to go riding with me, or they want to take a ride. More than once I've been invited to ride on the twisties. You know, people that like to ride the roads that have all the twists and turns in them. There's one here in Ohio called the Triple Nickel. It's kind of in the southern part of the state, and it winds around a lot of twists and turns. But the most popular one, you know, and I'm sure you've all heard of it, is the Tail of the Draggin. And I've been offered to go down and ride that with people too. I'll tell you what, though. Hitting the twists and turns is not something that is at the top of my list of things to do. I don't mind cornering when I'm out touring somewhere, going somewhere. But to go somewhere just for that fact alone, to hit the twisties, I'm not going. Now, the tail of the Draggin is an interesting place. I don't know how many hundreds of sharp turns there are in that road, but when you watch the videos, and you'll see it over and over and over again, the thing they like to do is see how fast they can go through there and scrape the foot pegs. I mean, you're leaning the bike over so far into those turns that it just ain't going to lean any further. And unfortunately, a lot of people crash. They skid out. They hit the guardrails. They go into oncoming traffic. And I don't know what the statistics are for injuries or fatalities down there, but I'm sure there's a pretty good program of that listed somewhere. But I'm not eager to put myself in that position, even put myself in that risk, just to go down there and ride a road that has twists and turns. I've been to the Smoky Mountains, a beautiful place, a great place to go take a vacation. But to ride the bike down there for that sole reason, just to do the tail of the Draggin, no, not something that I'm interested in doing, and never will be. And it's not that I couldn't ride it and wouldn't enjoy it, but how can you enjoy riding it when you got somebody right on your rear end, or 100 bikes passing you because you're going too slow, or somebody coming left to center head on right into you around a turn too sharp? And then the other thing is, it's just not all motorcycles either. There's other vehicles. There's trucks and trailers and cars and motorhomes, and a lot of people end up in trouble on that road. So, it's just something, hey, if that's your thing and you like to do the twisties. I remember back, I was probably 17, 18 years old, and a buddy of mine had bought a Honda. I think it was about maybe it was one of those CB 250s, kind of a street bike. Wasn't real fancy or anything. But I went over was hanging around with him, and he goes, "Hey, check out my new motorcycle." And we were looking over, and, back then when you're 17, 18 years old, a 250 is like, wow, that's a motorcycle right there. I mean, there's no way that we could afford anything else at that point in life. We didn't even have a job, for Pete's sake. So he goes, "Well, let's take a ride. You get on the back." When you ride on the back of the bike, I always have called it riding bitch. When you take the back seat. And he was driving, and he was going like a bat out of Hades. I mean, he was flying. And he knew where he was going, and we went right into these turns, and he leaned that bike over so far that the exhaust pipe was scraping on the ground and the sparks were flying. And I thought for sure we were going to dump the thing. I mean, I thought, man, you're going way too fast, buddy. This bike just isn't going to lean any farther. And I was sticking with him on it, but we got back, and I said, "You know what, that's it, man. No more rides with you. I'm done." And he was laughing, he thought that was pretty hilarious. And we looked at his pipe, and it was all scraped up on the bottom where we had leaned it so far. And he said, "Man, must have been that extra weight on there with having you on the back. I didn't realize, that I was actually going to scrape like that." And, it's like, well, I don't know. If we would have gone down, probably would have got road rashed up pretty good. But, that's a moment in life on the motorcycle that I'll never forget. But I've never had any problems like that cornering. I've only scraped my, my footboard or whatever, maybe twice in my whole riding career. I don't ever remember going around a corner that fast. I can go, I do know how to corner. I can lean into them, but I know my limit too, and I'm not going to push that limit. I don't like to take risks. And there comes to a certain point where you're running the knife's edge, and whether it's cornering or whether it's going too fast or whether it's trying, stunts or crazy things out on the road, you're riding that knife's edge or you're getting close to it, and it's going to end up putting you in a pickle one time or another. So you just have to slow things down, take things easy, just enjoy the ride. I'll crank on the throttle sometimes. There's a thrill to that, but there's a time and a place for it. When I'm out in the countryside, there's nobody else around. There's nobody in my rear view. There's nobody in front of me. And I got a nice big straightaway. I'll think, all right, let me see what this baby's got, and I'll twist on the throttle and just let her go, let her fly, and wait for her to take off like a jet. And that ain't ever going to happen. But there's a sense of flight, when you're going fast like that. It's fun. And I'm not a real speed. Now, my brother, on the other hand, he lives out in California, and his bike, he got a Kawasaki. I don't remember what it is, but he'll take that thing up to like 90, 100 mile an hour on those straightaways out there in the desert. And I'm like, dude, you're taking a risk because anything could go wrong. They got the twisties out there too in the mountains. You get up into the mountains and a lot of sharp hairpin turns. I mean, some really nasty ones. I never forget the time when I was in Utah, though, when I was coming down off the plateau and I came to one of those switchbacks, and there's no way you could even ride through this thing because it was all pea gravel. And when I turned my front end, it just wanted to go straight right off the edge of the cliff. And I basically had to walk that thing around the corner to get, down to the next straightaway. That was frightening. It was absolutely like riding on a sheet of marbles, and it was horrible. But around here where I live in Northeast Ohio, we don't have a lot of twisties because the nature of the land here is fairly flat. We do have some hills, some slight hills and rolls, valleys and stuff. You might find some twisties here and there, but not like steady stream of them. When you go down more into southern Ohio, where you get more into the foothills of the Appalachians, you're going to find a lot of twists and turns down there. V and I went camping down there one year. I don't remember where we went, but we took the highway almost all the way there and then got off the highway, and it was just a couple miles to the state park that we stayed at. And on the way home, we were following the navigation on the truck, but it took us a different way, and we ended up going the opposite way of the highway, and it took us on some state route that was just like absolutely like the tail of the dragon, just super hard twisties and turns and twisties and turns and hills and some it was some really interesting landscape. And I'm pulling this 34-foot travel trailer, and it wasn't that wide of a road, and just trying to keep, my trailer tires on my side of the road when I run around some of those turns, I almost had to have my front end clear off into the gravel on the berm to make it around the corner. And the reason you wanted to stay in your lane was here comes these semis down there. And I mean, they're not going slow. They've drive this road every day, and they know how to drive it. And it's like, it seemed like they were missing you by a hair. I'm waiting for my mirror to go chunk when they go by because it was that close. And I thought, man, I got off that road, and I was like white-knuckled driving my truck. But I would be a little even nervous to ride a motorcycle on those roads. I mean, that another time we were in Sturgis. We were in the South Dakota, not particularly in Sturgis, and we had ridden into Wyoming, and we were on our way back through Wyoming and coming into South Dakota, and there's a lot of mountainous twists and turns, and these logging trucks were like right on my butt. I mean, I was going as fast as I could feel comfortable, and when you're not familiar with the road, you don't want to go hogging through there full blast. Plus, I had my wife on the back, so I'm just going the speed limit basically, but they were coming around, I mean, right up on my rear end. When you look in the mirror and all you see is the grill of a Peterbilt, it's like, whoa, dude, come on, back up a little bit. I mean, I almost wanted to pull off on the side of the road and let him go by, but if I did that, there's another one right behind him. So I just, focus on the road ahead, try to keep my speed up, and get the heck out of there. But that was a tense ride, too. I don't like being pushed, I don't like people riding on my tail. Even if I'm in the vehicle, it's worse when you're on a motorcycle, when somebody's tailing you. V, when she was on the back and anybody ever tailed us, she would always be like, turning around going like this, like, get off our tail. And I'd go, don't piss people off. I go, you're waving they don't know what you're doing. They're you're angry, you're waving your arms and carrying on. I go, we're on a motorcycle. I don't want road rage. I don't want them running me off the road. But like myself, she didn't like being tailgated, and I don't like it either. Anyway, like I said, we got more as soon as the weather clears up this week, and it's supposed to. I got other rides planned with some people, so we're looking forward to that. Today's Thursday. On the schedule, tomorrow's the 4th of July. That means it's the parade. Now, when I say parade, in Stowe, Ohio, it's over on the north east side of Akron, Ohio, Stowe, Ohio. And they have a huge parade. I think it goes for like 2 or 3 miles. And there's just hundreds of floats and vehicles and stuff going on. Well, my brother's company, Avery Enterprise, they're going to have their fancy wrapped trucks in the parade, and they'll be pulling a float. Last year I rode in the back of one of the trucks, and they cook hot dogs, and they put them in the bun, and they put a packet of ketchup and mustard in there and wrap them in tin foil, and they filled coolers full. So my brother's wife and I rode in the back of one of his pickup trucks. And as we were going down through the parade there, we were throwing hot dogs out to people, that wanted a hot dog. So that was really fun. And if you're in the Stowe area, I recommend it's a great parade to go. I mean, you got to find your place early because the streets are literally lined, for miles lined with people on both sides of the road. If you happen to be going, though, and you see me, give me a shout out, wave, yell at me or whatever. Let me know that you're there in the crowd, and if I hear you, I'll wave back. I am a little hard of hearing, so sometimes I don't really hear right. I might mistake my name for something else, but yeah. So that'll be tomorrow. Actually, I'll be in the parade. So if God willing, anyway, that's the plan. We've got a lot coming up here in the summer. I always tell people, I go, man, my schedule's filling up fast. If you want to do something, you better get on the calendar because there's no room for a whole lot. We've got all kinds of camping, vacation stuff. We've got visitors coming here. We've got motorcycle rides, poker runs, all kinds of things to do. So I keep my calendar updated, and it stays pretty full normally. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate your support, and thanks for the comments and the positive words. Until next time, cats, I'll catch you all later.